Alrighty guys, what is up? Welcome back to Stoneblock 2 with LD7, and today we're going to be going over how to set up autocrafting with Applied Energistics. So, I already have autocrafting set up for my base, so I'm not really going to expand my system, but I am going to show you how to build all the items to do it, kind of what you need to construct and how to connect it into the system right over here. So let's go ahead and dive in. The first thing you're going to need in order to actually process your crafting are crafting units. So to build a crafting unit, pretty inexpensive, 2 calculation processors, logic, cable, and iron. All of these are EMCable, so just build one and EMC it so you can get a stack. So we got our crafting monitor, cool. The crafting unit rather. So this is used to build all the rest of the crafting components. You take this and combine it with something to get the other one, so like a coprocessor. Take a crafting unit with a diamond processor to get the processing unit. Now I am just going to grab some crafting units, just a stack of them on out of our table so we can build everything else, but that is the crafting unit and the coprocessor. The crafting unit is required. You need at least one per crafting storage unit that you're going to build. This actually allows the storage to be usable, so you need a crafting unit. This next thing, you need a crafting co-processing unit if you want to be able to do 2 crafts at the same time within each storage cell. So I would suggest the first 2 blocks, co-crafting and crafting unit, regardless of what kind of cell you're building. That way it can process multiple things at one time. It'll definitely help your efficiency and make things better for you, so just bear that in mind. Crafting unit, co-processing unit, pretty easy. The rest of them are kind of like the storage drives that you put in for item storage, only they're crafting storage. So the more complex an item is to craft, the more crafting storage it will require in order to complete it. So depending on what you're crafting is going to determine how much of this you need. These are you build multi-blocks out of this, so you can increase the storage, like the crafting storage, ridiculously high, even if you're only using 1K crafting modules. But let's go ahead and build these. So a 1K, you take a 1K storage with the crafting unit. For a 4K, it's just 4K storage with the unit. For 16, it's a 16 with the unit. And then for the 64, it's a 64 with the unit. So there you go. Get all those, pretty easy. Then you've got a crafting monitor, will show you what's being crafted inside of the unit. So you can put these on there if you want to know what's being built while it's processing. I don't normally use these because I don't really care, but let's go ahead and put that away. So crafting, we need 1 crafting unit. We can grab that, and we're going to grab our coprocessor, and we'll grab our monitor just for fun. So let's show you how to build this. Now these have to be in a equal size multi-block, so like 2 like that isn't going to work. It has to be a full cube of 4. So if I take these and place them like that, you see the texture changes. That means that it is a functional device. This will have a coprocessor, regular processor, so it can build multiple crafts at a time. And then it's got a total of 5K crafting storage. If we wanted to increase that, we could swap these units out for the 16 and the 64K, and that'll give us 80,000 worth of crafting storage, which is a pretty big unit. I mean, this will do most everything. If you put 2 64s, 128K, I mean, very few crafts are bigger than that. In general, like, it does depend on what you're trying to use it for, but whatever. I don't have the 16K or the monitor in my table yet, so I actually don't have any of these in my table yet, so we're just going to burn those off. I'm going to put the monitor as the 4th face for this one, just so you can see. So this is 64K crafting module with the coprocessor on it and a monitor. So this is basically the most basic one you can set up using all of the auxiliary blocks, meaning the monitor, coprocessor, and unit, with the storage block. So there you go, that's what you can do. The next piece to actually enable automated crafting is to build interfaces and molecular assemblers. So molecular assembler and an interface, this guy. And it does need to be the interface block. This can be transformed into a flat one if you're going to put it on a machine or something. Make sure it's the block. What else? You're going to want patterns. So we'll just pin that. I've got all this stuff already. So, and then you also want a pattern terminal. all this is built, so my pattern terminal is right here. I also built an interface terminal. This is not required. You can manually walk up and put in the items, but we'll talk about that. So going in here, molecular assembler, pretty easy. It's both types of cores, a crafting table, quartz, glass, and iron. I don't have the cores or the glass, but that's how you build them. I should have these in my table. Let's just double check. We'll grab a stack of these and a stack of interfaces because I don't think I've got them on me. But okay, so that's how you build the molecular assembler. Interface, pretty easy, 2 cores, regular glass and iron. So you need some of these. Some interfaces, some molecular assemblers, and this is what actually affects the craft using the storage capacity that you've got. You need blank patterns, which are pretty easy to build, do that. You can EMC them, so I just pull them out stacks at a time, but it's glowstone, Sturgis quartz, iron, and quartz glass. The pattern terminal will allow you to set the crafting recipes. It takes a crafting terminal with an engineering processor. Okay, pretty straightforward. And then the interface terminal will let you access the interfaces that are attached to your network. So this just makes it easier to put your completed patterns inside of your crafting assembly without having to walk over to it. It's built with an interface, illuminated panel, and an engineering processor. Alright, so let's go over here and we'll just kind of show you how to build this piece of it. So this is your crafting access. So what you want to do, because some of these need to be connected, some don't, the interfaces all need to be connected. So the way I like to build it is I set 4 of these guys like that, and then I put one of these here, one of these here, 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 and here. And then you run your flux cable down the center to power all the blocks. So let's just grab some cables. We'll just take a stack, sure. So if you put the cable in like that, you've got everything connected off of, you've got 4 interface connections off the channel. This will power the interfaces and allow you to access them from the network. The other thing that needs to be connected with cables is the actual crafting unit, so we'll just drop that in as well. These basic cables can only carry 8 channels at a time, so if you try to move too much off of just the basic ones, you might end up not having the channels needed to run the machine, and that will make it not work. So now that it's connected in, we've got 13 channels. This is a dense cable. It'll hold 32 channels, so I suggest if you're attaching to your controller, use a dense cable. Then you can kind of pick and choose what branches off depending on your needs. So we've now got a crafting core set up. So here's our crafter. You can tell these blocks are lit up. That means that it's working. I'm going to switch this one and the monitor, however, just so it's a little bit easier to view the monitor while we're playing around. So there we go. Got it all built. Cool. We're good to go. The next step to actually start crafting, you need to tell the computer what it is you would like to craft. So if you go into your pattern terminal, it's going to default look like this. You'll have a grid, an output, and a place to put patterns. So get some patterns, put them in the top. This will allow you to get started. There's 2 types of recipes you can do. You can do regular crafting, or you can do processing. Processing recipes will go through machines. Crafting will go through just like the regular crafting terminal. So let's say I want to build Aeternalis fuel blocks for some reason, right? So if I put in the recipe, so 9 Aeternalis fuel to 1 block, it will kind of show you if it's going to work or not right here. And you don't actually need the items. Like if I wanted to build an auto crafting for molecular assemblers, I could do it just like that. But I want to do it with the Aeternalis fuel. So we're just, come on, put it back in. There you go. So we're just going to do that. Once you get the recipe set up the way you want, you hit encode pattern, and it'll give you a pattern for the block. It just looks blue unless you shift, then you can see what the pattern's for. Now with this pattern, you've got to put it inside of an interface connected to a molecular assembler. And that basically will tell the computer, I want to build this item, so send the materials to this interface to craft this, so 9 Aeternalis fuel, and it will put it through the assembler and the interface will pull the item back out. So you can manually do it by walking to an interface that's empty, connected to a molecular assembler, and putting it in the patterns item. You will know that it's working and in the right slot when it changes to the actual block item. The other way you can do this is if you built an interface terminal, you go over to that, click in, it's going to show you all of your interfaces that are attached to molecular assemblers. We've got 16 assemblers added to our network right now. So these bottom ones should be the 4 new that we added. So let's just put it in the very bottom. And that should have put it in one of these. Let's just check, see if we can find it. So this is the very last one in our interface terminal. It depends on what channel it says each one is on and all that stuff, so it gets a little complicated to know where it goes. But this is attached to a molecular assembler in an interface, so now we can craft Aeternallis fuel blocks. Okay, so we've got it set up. We want to craft some Aeternallis fuel blocks, so we go over to our regular terminal. You'll see that we have it available to craft. So you'll see that it's available to craft because we don't have any inside of the... You'll see it's in the computer. You can select how many you want. I want 10. You hit next. It'll calculate how much it's going to take to build that. So I don't have enough to build 10. So let's just say we want to make 2. And it'll show this. It'll say how many bytes. This is the storage amount, so 1054. So you need at least a 4K crafting storage component connected in order to do this craft, and it'll default to automatic. That just means it's going to pick the first CPU. If I click through, however, this CPU 6 should be the one out here because it's got the 65K. If I hit start, it will go ahead and produce it, and we should see, it may have already done it because it's pretty quick, but you can see the crafting status. So like, we got that pretty much immediately. Let's go ahead and grab out some more regular Aeternallis, just so we can do a few more blocks, so we might be able to kind of see what's going on. If you do have like the item that's craftable sitting in there, even if it's just one, it won't give you the option to craft by default. You can change that by switching this to view to craftable. I don't do it because normally I have recipes over there, so view, if you go to craftable, it'll show you anything that can be crafted. So anyway, that's how you kind of navigate that. We'll just call that good. We have at least enough to build a stack, so let's go for like 30 blocks, right? And see if we can't view this happening. So there you go. You can see on the monitor how many are left in the craft. So we've got another 12 to go, and then there you are. The craft should be finished. You can see it out of the molecular assembler and off the terminal, and we've got our 30 blocks of Aeternallis fuel. So that is basically how you do auto crafting with Applied Energistics. If you're doing machines, there's a couple ways to do it. You can use import buses to pull items from inventory. So like, let's say I wanted to pull all the output from my induction smelter. If I set this to an output item and put an import bus on here and connect it to this cable, it will pull anything that ends up in this block as it's produced. For inputs, you use an export bus, which, do I have one chilling around here? I don't. But you use what's called an export bus. You place it on the input face of the item. So let's say we wanted to input items from the top. It's blue. You put your import bus on top. It'll have a little bit of a buffer inventory that you can fill with patterns. So basically you put the import bus on and you fill it with, or actually if you're going to use auto crafting recipes, on the input face you put a interface block that's converted to a flat. So one of these guys right here, place it like that, and then connect it up with the cable. Basically what this will allow me to do is put induction smelter recipes or patterns in the pattern slot, and then if I order an item that needs to go through and I've got the recipe encoded in the induction smelter, I say I want to build, like, I don't know, slag or something, and I've got a recipe that makes slag by putting items through the induction smelter. It'll send the items required to make the slag that we need, and there you go. It's pretty cool, all things considered. Like, I really do enjoy auto crafting. I haven't really seen the need to automate my machines with crafting recipes at this point. Like, it's a good idea to do it, just so if you're gonna build more complex stuff, normally you need machine components that will allow you to just have basic resources in your computer and craft just what you need. But since we've got EMC in this pack, it's not really a big deal. I just take out stacks of stuff when I need it. But that is basically my coverage on auto crafting. I'm just going to take this guy down real quick because, like I said, I don't really need these extra interfaces or crafting storage. And if I decide that I want to expand my auto crafting, what I'm going to do is build out another dedicated room for it and like probably move the whole computer at the same time, just because this area right here is pretty cramped. We've got a lot of stuff going on, so there's not really space to add more cores. Is kind of the issue I'm having at this point in time. Like, it's not necessarily an issue. Like, everything I want to be able to do, I can. It's just if I want to add more, I'm gonna have to move some stuff around, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Once a pattern's encoded, you can't do anything with it unless you pass it through a pattern terminal, which is a block. There is an actual block for it. Just talk about that. So pattern encoder. You have to pass it through this. It'll wipe the pattern. For me, I don't really care about it, so if there's a pattern I'm not going to use, I just throw it away. You can store it in the computer like a regular item too. It just depends on if you think you're going to need that pattern again. But if you enjoyed today's episode about how to set up automated crafting with Applied Energistics, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, this has been Lone Debater 7, and we will see ya.